talk. Somebody today was just like, I loved your talk the other day. Welcome back. We are live here on the Get Up Girl podcast, and I'm here with two of my gals. We have the Get Up Girl chat. We do this monthly where we have three of us come together and we talk about sex. We talk about things that are on our minds as individuals here in 2022. And I am here with Pinky, our money gal. What's up, Pinky? We got Salome Valdez, Team JV. Salome on my team, and fellow dancer and fellow creator with the Get Up Girl. So we are going to be talking about compound interest when it comes to money, how we can compound our money, how you can take one penny and grow it into $1 million. If you were to double that penny, it would grow into $1 million, and you're going to have more money over time than if you were to have $1 million at once when you were a young child. Also, how it correlates to everything else in our lives, how it correlates to sex mostly. So let's jump in. Let's start with Salome, because this was, I think, Salome's idea right along with Pinky.
Pinky brought it up.
Pinky brought it up, and Salome said, yes, let's do it. Salome's like, I want to be on this chat. Can I be on this call? Yes. Salome, how does compounding interest with money and compounding sex relate to you in your world?
Okay, well, let me just start off by saying that I don't have as much experience like with Pinky about like compounding money and everything, which I listen to.
Experience with sex.
I have That's why I'm here to talk about sex. But when she said that, I said, "Oh my gosh, that is genius!" Like, oh, Pinky, when you sent me that text, I'm like, that bingo. That's what we're gonna talk about. I didn't even think about that. I was like, okay, she actually brought it up, but but I would say, I'm not gonna say like the more sex, the better. Like, I'm not even gonna say that because it's not even about that. For example, and I've said this before too. First of all, let me just say I don't really have that much sex, but when I do have it, it's amazing. So my whole body, my mind, everything just becomes this, like the next day is just like this new person, and all these ahas come in. So I am able to explore more of my body. And again, it's not because I'm doing it every day or all the time. It's just like I can have it like once a month or once every 2 or 3 months even, and it's good sex, but yet I become this newer, better version of myself.
So Salome's not in a long-term relationship, right? So when you do have your partner, whoever she texts that day, what do you do, Salome, that helps you get into that next realm? Like, do you do anything specific before, after? We want to know the tips.
I actually make it pretty special every time because I love, well, I'm gonna say costumes, but I don't do costumes or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I love lingerie, like the whole,
okay.
I like wearing nice lingerie, and I'm like, oh, this is cute. I think I can model this and make this other person feel special. This is really cool, and I love performing. So, I mean, when I have sex, I'm just like, damn, I'm hot. Like, like I could totally like record this and look hot, like, so I guess to me, it's more about the confidence too. Because before I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like that before. I was kind of like, oh, can we do it the lights off? But I've been doing the candles. I've been doing lights on. I've been, all these different things. And it's like, wow, I didn't know that I mentally, I was prepared for that. So I have to try it out first. Let's see how it happens. I don't even have like a schedule that it's going to happen a certain way. I'm like, let's see how this happens and let's see how it goes. And it ends up being pretty amazing.
Salome, can I jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, when you have the sex, when it's not like often, but when you do, is it more than once?
Ooh, that's a great question.
And then if it's more than once, does it follow 3, 4, 5 times? Because I'm just thinking about, compound interest, it's like with your money, if you don't use it, you lose it. It kind of dries out. And I
Right.
don't know if, it's like being, it's just like you have like those dry spells. And then, but if you
Literally.
start doing it, and then you do it again, and then it just starts count where you're like, oh, I can have sex 4 times tonight, or I can, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's how I see the compound interest in sex. The more you add on to it, it's like compound interest is money, making money on top of money, making money. Same with compounding sex. You have it once, you're like, you want to go it again? Let's do it again. You're like, okay, now we can go. Now it just starts kind of snowballing where you're like, we went 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah, it's happened where it's like the whole night, or then the morning sex, which is freaking amazing, and all that. And then I'm like, dude, I'm good for like the rest, I don't know, a month, 2 months, whatever. And then I'll start feeling like, I'm gonna go for it again, kind of thing. But that is totally right. Yeah, what you just said.
The momentum builds.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Huh. Okay, because I love a tool. I love to speak, to other people and go, what do you do? I love that. I love those kind of conversations. Pinky, for you, how do they correlate? Compounding money, compound sex.
Well, pretty much with what I just like mentioned, where if it gets where you have like a dry spell and you're not doing, and it just goes longer and longer without having sex, the same way, like, for example, leaving your money in your savings account, you're pretty much putting it to sleep.
Yeah.
And so the same with sex, if you're like, I'm tired tomorrow, have a headache tomorrow, I'm putting that sex to sleep and that none is being had. And then, but if I'm like, hey, let's 1 time, 2 times, and then it's just like a snowball effect, and it just starts compounding, because compound interest starts really small. It's little by little by little. And then after a while, out of nowhere, you're like, whoa. So I think it's the same exact thing with anything, I think.
Mhm.
One of the conversations that I know, well, at least that I'm aware of, that we don't talk about enough is orgasms. And I'm really curious when I speak to especially women, females, where most of them do not orgasm all the time or as often, it's so interesting to me. And I don't know the numbers of what the average percent of a woman will reach orgasm every single time, but let's go into that conversation, because I know when I do not have an orgasm, it's not as fun, it's not as enjoyable, but it's very, very blue moon for me. However, it's also in my mind if I'm like really stressed out or something of that nature to get there. That's why I was asking Salome, like, how do you get there? So, gals, what do you think? Let's open up the conversation about girlfriends that that talk about it.
I think it comes down to like I mentioned, compound interest money, it starts really slow.
Mhm.
And then it starts snowballing. So there's, with sex, when it's really slow and it's really nice, and then you have that first orgasm, doing it again, and then you can get to that second, third orgasm. And so that's just compounding little by little, but just really starting slow and nice. And then to get to the multiple, because it's possible. And and when it's nice and slow, it happens more with the orgasms, as opposed to like, let me get rich quick, real quick, let me get that orgasm right now. You're not going to get it.
Rich quick. Yeah. Interesting. I like that. What about for you, Salome?
Ooh, I loved what Pinky just said. That is so, yes, that is correct. But as far as orgasms, every time I have sex, I have multiple orgasms. And I think it's because of the person that I select to be with me that night. And I know this person but this person knows my body really well too. That I'm just kind of like that. That's what makes me like, oh, this person owes me. Like, that is just freaking awesome, So I think it's probably yeah, no, like Pinky said it correctly. And again, I don't go right into it. No, I'm gonna get an orgasm right away. Like, it's not gonna happen. It's also really mental. So even before having sex, I have my mental exercises, like,
Mm.
do your hot Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, you're gonna have some great sex tonight. Your body's gonna love it, you know. And I think it just really has to do with the confidence and being very comfortable with that person as well. Um, not thinking like, oh, are the noises that I'm making weird, you know, like not questioning yourself, am I being too loud, things like that. I've noticed that when I'm just free and I don't think about a lot of things and there's no bubble, then the it's like it's just amazing. And then I have multiple orgasms too.
I wonder why. I wonder what it is that generally, as most women, that it's harder for us to hit orgasm than men. Men, I would say 99.9 will hit it, right? You could tell, you can see it. Ours is maybe it's you could fake it, so to speak. A man, you can't really fake. You get what I'm saying? So at least I don't know how a man could see how you could fake it, because you know what I'm saying? Like, because you get wet. And I'm like, so if you're pretty dry, that's hard to fake. At least, you know, at least this is what I know with my body. But what do you gals wonder where that stems from? What that is? There's actually a new documentary. It's on Netflix. I do not know the title of it. It just came out, but it is all about the female orgasm. The whole documentary. Yeah, so Salome, I know you'd like this one. And I only saw a snippet, so I'm not sure exactly what it's about, you know, the overall. However, the theme of it is about the difference between females and males and why only about 50% of females will hit orgasm and why do men usually hit it more. Really want to watch it because I'm curious. So let's see what you all think before we watch the documentary. What is it? Do you think because we're brought up to be quiet, to not stand up, or things of that nature?
I think it's instant gratification. We're just so used to instant results right then and there. So, like for men, they want that instant gratification where we're like, no, it's going to take time. You need to love it. Like the foreplay is really, really important. And, you know, going back to, I know Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, asked Warren Buffett, he's like, how come people don't use your strategies and your tools? Because Warren Buffett, he uses compound interest. He knows how it works, and it's a lifetime. It's a marathon. And what Warren Buffett said, he said, because people don't like to get rich slow.
They want to get rich fast. Yes.
Same with sex. More men, they're like, no, I just want to get to it. Just give me 5 minutes and that's it. Like, I want it quick. As opposed to some of us that have that mindset, we're like, no, I want to get there slow because I know I'm going to get there and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to be a gazillionaire, equaling to I'm going to have a whole bunch of orgasms.
Pinky, that's a great analogy because the partners that I have that do want to get rich slow, for example, sex a little bit slower, it's better. I'm thinking about like with Salome, she's like, she chooses the partners. She's like, they know my body and it's not rushed and they want to enjoy it. It's like ice cream and you're savoring it. You're not eating the ice cream going, oh, I feel so guilty. I'm going to work this off tomorrow on the treadmill. It's like, dude, you're not even enjoying it. Like, enjoy the process and getting there. Dude, most of the fun is getting there to the orgasm, right?
Yeah.
Fun is getting there. Yeah, it feels great at the end, but getting there is the best part. Mm-hmm. So what about for you, Salome? You know, like why? Why do you think that women do have less orgasms than men?
I really think it's because most of us have a lot on our mind, and most of I'm honestly, a lot of the people I talk to it's confidence about themselves, being happy with themselves, with their life, with their body. They're always thinking about what is this other person thinking. It's all about judgment.
Salome, you hit the nail on the head. I'm pretty confident in my body, more confident than I have been in the past, and especially due to my partner. So my boyfriend, Patrick, he enjoys that I walk around naked, and I'm just like, la, 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 like a little kid just walking around. He's like, I love that, And to me, I'm like, isn't this, I guess, normal, or don't most women do this? But I'm going, oh, I guess they don't. That is not a thing to do. Lights off, don't look at me. And look, I've been that before. And I'm like, what was that when I chose that in the past? And what I can see now, that I was a mirror to that partner. I was a mirror. Yeah, I still had choice. I could have made a different choice, but I see now that I was a mirror. And then all of a sudden I was unconfident. And so I feel much more confident with my partner. So it's a combination of my own confidence and him together equal my confidence. Totally get what you're saying, Salome. Let's go in deeper to that. What do you think that is? That we, at least the men that I have known, and I'm talking about the men in my life that I have known, they have been more confident than I, or more than some of my girlfriends in my life. They're just more confident. They'll walk around naked. I mean, they'll just and I'm like, wow, I wish I had that. What is that? I wonder, and again, I'm not just stereotyping men and women, but in my experience, I wonder what that is with my girlfriends that I've seen that are less confident. What do you think?
Go ahead, Pinky.
I mean, I've been lucky that I've been, and I don't know, luckily I have an amazing husband that makes me feel like the most beautiful woman on earth. And I've always been confident enough with my body that I'm like, I like my body. So I've never had that issue. Not like never ever, but what I'm saying is, for me, it's more the thoughts running in my mind. So I think women have more thoughts running in our mind. We don't know how to stop it. And the men are like, what? It's like the men fall asleep faster. I think like Vinny is just like pillow, he's out. And I'm like, dude,
spinning.
And I'm just thinking and whether it's projects or ideas. And I wish my memory I have to have a notepad. And even then, but I think it's just the thoughts. If he says, hey, let's play a little whatever. And if my mind's too busy, I'm like, I'm not even going to be into it or distracted. But also, I've also seen the other end where women, and whether it's in my life, that they've never let their husband see them naked. And I'm like, what?
Wow, really?
Yeah. And it's just, they would always cover up and they'd be embarrassed. And I'm like, what? Really? Like luckily I've never, really been like that, where I'm like, I walk around with my underwear and, he loves it. But I have a lot of women in my life, they're like, no, I'm embarrassed. But I think that's just a programming of, I don't know, maybe comparing ourselves to porn, or comparing ourselves to like, these girls' boobs are up here and mine are down here, or the cellulite or things. And men really don't care. If my experience where they're like, I don't care about the cellulite. What? I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my 2 cents.
Very interesting, Pinky. I'm starting to discover that more. Again, I think I was living on Jupiter. I was going to say Pluto and Jupiter together. I'm living on another planet going, really? Wow. Without any judgment, I'm genuinely curious. Like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. I really thought that wives were like just walking around naked feeling so comfortable. And I'm like, wow, I really thought I was living in butterfly land. I didn't know that was like, wow. Anyway, yeah. What do you think, Salome?
Ooh, that a lot of that I hear too from my friends. But it's true about always having something in our head. I love that you brought up the whole thing of that they sleep easily. Because it's so true. I mean, what I've experienced, it's always like, why do you think girls have slumber parties? All night talking. And it's funny because when I've had, wow, that's amazing. I'm starting to think a lot about my others, like when I've had certain events like that go till like really late at night and stuff, and it's usually the females consider themselves females. That's we stay up talking for a long time, and it's because probably we just have so much in our head that we want to talk about it, that we want to share, and always like males like to just kind of walk out of conversations in the middle, like, oh, it's too boring, I'm gonna go, like, things like that. But it's so true. But like, I'm not saying every person, every guy or every woman is like this. I'm just saying what I've experienced, and most of the time it's happened. And like, for example, with my Noemi, with my sister, we're sisters, and we We know each other so much. We're like best friends, but we always have something to talk about. We can talk about a rock, and it's like it goes from there. Like it's crazy how we can make something so small and make it create such a big conversation out of it. And I think it also has to do with assumptions. And we start thinking like, what if this? But what if this? But what if this? What if this? And then we start thinking in our head. And yeah, I think it's really has to do a lot with what's going on in here.
And I think it's a scientific like thing where women do have more thoughts during a day than men do. It's like, look at men, if they get into a fight, even a fist fight, and they just squash it, they're like, all right, cool, that's it. We're like, I gotta write a letter. Why did she do that? What were her intentions? And then my feelings are hurt, and we have a whole like 6 months before you come back and tell me what you were feeling. And they're just like, squash it, that's it. And it's the same way with sex. They're like, let's just get it done.
That is so like my partner. He can squash a little argument, and I'm like, and I stew in it for 2 days. So we've been working on it. I'm like, okay, I'll stew less, and can you just like back off? Because he's ready to go. Okay, it's fine. He can squash it in a second. And I've never been one. What else is possible to be open to makeup sex? Because I'm not ready yet. I'm like, oh, I'm not. I ain't there yet. I so wish I could. I wish. I wonder, how does it get better? I wonder how I could create that. It's difficult for me. And so for me to come back, it to unthaw takes a while. Yeah. Even though I've squashed it, I'm still simmering. So yeah, that's very interesting.
That is so funny. I'm just thinking about yesterday, Vinny and I, we were having a conversation and we kind of got a little bit into a debate, and he was working and I had to rush out to go get something, and I came back and he was like, nothing. He's like, come here. He's like, give me a hug. And I'm like, what? Why? What do you mean? He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, we were just debating 10 minutes ago. He's like, oh, really? And I'm like, I was still
That was the thing?
He's like, come here, baby. And I'm like, what? I'm still stewing over that. Like, wait, we got to talk about it. I need to be heard. So I think it's being able to also to be heard, that we're not like validate my feelings, where he's like, oh, I'm not tripping about that. But I'm like, I am.
I know. I don't care that you're not tripping. I'm tripping.
He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, it just happened 10 minutes ago. We were just in the middle of a debate 10 minutes ago. He's like, we were? So it just reminds me of that. It's hilarious.
You're so cute. Yeah. And then once I like stew, I was like, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I chose crazy at that moment. I apologize. I went cuckoo. But thank God I'm not where I used to be, where I would stew and then still point the finger forever. Now I could, you know what? Yeah, I chose crazy. I apologize. Moving on. That was not very kind. Yeah. So yeah, what else is possible? I wonder. Well, what else, gals, would you like to add before we put a bow on this when it comes to sex and compound interest? Because the compounding, I am pretty aware that we're an unsexed reality. Like, I know we can save the planet, we can have peace on earth if we all just had more sex. And imagine the little compounding. Everybody just did a little bit more every day. Just like money, if we were to invest just a penny a day is better than zero. Can you save a penny? Okay, tomorrow, can you save 2 cents? Tomorrow, can you save 3 cents? We'll work up to $1 a day. But even if we just had a little bit of sex every day, I wonder what it can shift on the planet and how we can have more conversations like this and not make it so shameful and taboo. Even though we are starting to talk more about it, I wonder if we could talk about it without the taboo. So I like having Salome on here because Salome talks about sex like it's the blue sky. It's just like, yeah, I have sex. Rather than the pendulum has swung so far and we have to make it so in your face. For example, like these songs are on the radio. They're fun. They're very They're about uplifting women and sexuality, but the pendulum has swung. So I'm like, I wonder if we can find something in the middle for people that are not ready to go there yet. So what do you think about that?
And do you think with having sex, a little bit of sex every day, does it have to be full on sex, or does that include like a hug for 20 seconds or a makeout session or like little by little?
I'm totally there with you, Pinky. I think it even starts with taking off that robe that we were talking about with our girlfriends. That right there is sexual. That's sexuality. Just walking around naked and being able to brush your teeth naked. Like, and you get to be able to brush your teeth and go, yeah, babe, I'm naked. I don't have to be clothed or hiding my beautiful body. So I think that even right there, Pinky, a little bit every day is a compound into not necessarily having an orgasm every day, and what else is possible. But what do you think, Salome?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with both of you. That's I was like, yes, because also I remember the first time I actually took nude pictures of myself, even just for personal use, and then I started posting them with little like things. But like that was just like whoa, like that was so much freedom when I started doing that, because it started off with me looking at myself naked in the mirror, and I never did that before so freely. I always felt like a little scared, like, do I want to look at myself? And then little by little, I started, okay. And then, okay, maybe just here, maybe just there. And then like, whoa, okay. Oh, wow. All right. You know what? I want to take pictures of myself now because I feel so happy. And I started taking pictures of myself. And the first time I did that, and it was pretty recent too, like maybe 3 years ago or something, it just started. And it was so much freedom in my head too. Like, okay, maybe I can show it to my friends and that I feel very comfortable with. And they're like, yeah, I'm down to look at them, And it's like not non-judgment too. Like they're looking at them like, wow, these are so cool, Salo. Like these are beautiful. Okay. And then then the connection starts feeling like it's a snowball effect with people that told me, wow, I want to do that too. I want to do that too. And then they start seeing them more happy. And it's like, that's exactly what I want to do. That's exactly why I do what I do also on Instagram when I post my pictures and stuff, because I want people to feel like I can do that too. Like, wow, I want to feel good too. So definitely, even just already starting with yourself, like loving yourself, and even just masturbation too. Like I again, I don't have sex often with a person, but I do masturbate often. And does that help me? Yes, it totally helps me.
That helps too. I know a lot of women that they've never ever
Never?
ever
Really?
ever, and I'm like,
Interesting.
but and it translates through their attitude, their energy, their body. It's very, yeah, very, where I'm like, oh, you need to like you need to catch up a lot of years, and they think that's weird or gross or just dirty. Or so I am surrounded where it's just like that. The sex is very taboo and very like, oh, you don't do that to a man. That's for like other type of women. And it's like, but it's my husband, but I want to. So just that, where some people need to start just with that, like being with yourself. Have sex with yourself.
There you go.
Pinky, I'm blown away. That's the first time I've heard that. I was not aware of that. Wow. Very, very interesting. And of course, all the points of views that we've picked up from whatever family we were brought up in, or, religion or things of that nature that told us that it was, taboo and wrong. And it's so interesting that thousands of years ago, sex was so different than the way it is looked at now. I mean, kings and queens, or just people, regular people, would have orgies and sex, and people would be fanning them and just watching. It was like not a big deal, right? Because you didn't have air conditioning, so somebody would fan you because you're like, yeah, you're hot, or bringing you water.
So that was real? Like when you see like the like Game of Thrones type of, I'm like, is that how it really was back in the day?
It's just like the way Salome's talking, like it was no big deal. It's just part of like brushing your teeth or getting up and drinking water. That was sex. It was just
also even just men and women, like same sex, sexual, like even without them saying like, oh, you're gay for doing that. It was just human being and human being.
Yeah.
Just just enjoying each other's bodies, regardless if they were gay or not. Like it's like it didn't matter. Like if a guy did it with a guy, well, now it's like consider you're gay, and it's like actually no, actually before it used to be like human being with human being contact, and let's just
play.
Let's play. Like, yeah, play with each other, make each other feel good. And let's go back to the paintings too. How like your European paintings, like the women, the way they looked too. It was so comfortable that was considered beautiful. How much time has changed to see what's considered beautiful too.
I want to reiterate what you said, Salome. Yeah, there were no labels, so to speak. Like, oh, now you're gay. I'm playing.
Yeah.
I'm just, I think that's very, very interesting on that. We could talk about this forever, but I wonder how we can get there where there's not such a point of view on it, and it could be received with such beauty.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have these conversations, to take away the, so if you've been listening, congratulations. Thank you for still staying on. And if there's a little bit of, as you're listening, Salome just said masturbation. Cool. Hey, can you receive that? And what else is possible for us to create in our lives so that we can clear that? It's just the point of view that we picked up somewhere.
Yep.
And it's not always been like that. And, I wonder what these conversations can create, us three today, because it's really cool, gals, when just today, somebody said, I was listening to your podcast. Oh my gosh. Like it really contributes. People listen and are like, yeah, these are the conversations I would like to have, or the ones I'm having with my girlfriends. We're just having them behind closed doors, and we're just opening our doors. That's the only difference.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, gals, for this. And please, if this was a contribution to you, or maybe it wasn't, and maybe it, poked you in the eye, tag us on Instagram and just swipe up, and Pinky and Salome's Instagram will also be there. And you could tag me on Joanna Vargas Official. Would love to have your takeaways and also your questions for the next Get Up Girl chat that we'll have next month. And we'll be talking about sex again. Thank you, Pinky. Thank you, Salome. Really appreciate your openness, your willingness to share your lives with us and let us into your bedrooms or your kitchens, whatever it may be, or car seats, whatever it is. Hey,
that too.
All of it, right? And lights on or lights off. Before we do click off, I just heard that there's a study that in the last 10 years, the percentage went up of 10% that people that have the lights on when they have sex. So it used to be 40%. Now it's 50 to 60% that have the lights on. So what the study is saying is that people are a little more confident now, and they're starting to turn the lights on. And I wonder if it's the new Gen Zers and millennials and things like that are starting to change the possibilities of sex and how we look at the body. So that's kind of cool. So, hey, how do we get to 100%? Right?
You remember that movie Big with Tom Hanks? And she turns off the lights, and he's like, why are you like, I want to see.
It's so true.
Pinky, that's a phenomenal way to think about it. Because he's a 13-year-old going, why would you want to turn off the lights? Like, what? Yeah. And then her point of view was like, yeah, you're right. I am beautiful. But she says it by acting. She doesn't say it. But you could see like, yeah, thank you for wanting to see me, because I'm afraid to see me. That was a great scene in the movie. That was a very good movie. Yeah. Thank you, gals. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for listening to the Get Up Girl. Remember, if you want different in your life, choose different. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks, gals.
Bye.